Hello and welcome to this video explaining how to use my string length calculator. If you're a normal subscriber of mine from my bidding days, I have videos planned, but like some other day. Now we're talking about friendship bracelets. So I've made a calculator here. If you're here, you're on this page actually. And you cannot do anything because you can't input things because you're view only. So the first thing you have to do is duplicate this. You go here and you go make a copy. It will ask you for a name. You can call it whatever you may like. Make a copy and now you have something that you can actually use. You can close the first tab. To do this tutorial, I'm gonna use this pattern here. Very pretty and also very useful for our purposes today because it has strings that aren't used the same amount. If you do something like a chevron, you do not need a string length calculator because all of the strings are used the same. And so like it will always be like 80 centimeters or something. For this one, it's different. So the first thing you have to do is decide how long you want your bracelet to be. I like mine to be about 15 centimeters, so that's what I've put here. And then I do quite short ties. I only need 7 centimeters for them, because I do adjustable bracelets and so like it doesn't need to be long. And then some extra length is like, because at the end, since my ties are short, I do not have a lot of string to actually knot, and so it's nice to have some extra. And also just in case, like you don't know what's gonna happen, sometimes you need a little bit of extra. I barely move these because it's the same for all of my bracelets. We'll see about this later. Then you have to enter your pattern info here. So here you can have the info here. So like there's 20 rows on this pattern I'm using and there's 12 strings. And then you have to count the knots. So we'll start with the colored strings. So the first one, we're gonna call it turquoise because the second one will be called green.
And then we have green. And then we have yellow, and then orange, and lastly, red.
Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. And there's only one string using it, so you can either write it or not. It doesn't matter. When there's only one, it doesn't matter. And then count again.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
And if you've noticed here, it's fully symmetrical, so the yellow is also 15, and the orange is also 7, and the red is only 2. As for the black, so you have two solutions here. If you've noticed, this is a straight edges pattern, so the side strings are not used to knot at all, and so we need to distinguish between these ones. So we'll have the sides that have 0 knots, and we'll have all of the other black strings, and we're gonna count the knots again. And actually I've counted them before. There's 64. What I find easiest is going kind of diagonal for this usually. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strings using them. I'm stupid, there's 2 sides. Okay, 2 sides. It doesn't really matter, but yeah. And then you can make sure you have the right amount of knots if this cell is green. If it's not green, you miscounted. The thing is, I do not like straight edges patterns. Like, they look super wonky for me. I think my forward backwards and backward forward knots are not good or something, but like they do not stay straight. They're way more straight when I do not use the technique. And so in this case I would not do the black sides and I would just do normal like forward and backward knots on the sides. And so I will just like remove this, like sides does not exist.
And so I will just...
And here we'll have 64 because it's the same number, 64. And here we will have 7 strings. And so then you can just use like the green values here to cut your strings. Then you have more info on this that you might care or might not care about, but you have it anyway. you have the amount of rows. I don't know, maybe you're curious on how many rows you've done, but maybe you also have the number of knots, which if you do a challenge that's like you have to do 10,000 knots or something, and then you know how many you've done. Well, roughly, because you will never knot it exactly the same, but well. And then there's the average string length, which is, I believe, quite interesting, because like if it's 100 centimeters or like 60, I know there's a problem somewhere, because it's supposed to be around 80 for me, you know. So that's the easiest way to use it. But the thing is, this is using my values of how I knot, and like I tighten my knots a lot, like so much that I have calluses on my hands, and I use DMC, which is quite fine. So if you want to find your own values, you have to go on the second page here, and then you have to input stuff again. There's an explanation that's written, so you can read it if you want. But basically, you have to make a bracelet. Before you make the bracelet, you have to measure the strings that you use. And then at the end, before you do the final ties, just measure how much is left over for all of the strings. So we'll do like a fictional thing, because I have already done it for me, but we'll try it. And we'll use the values of the pattern we're talking about. So let's say at the end I've done, I don't know, 7 reps. That's the number of rows I knotted if I've actually done 7 reps. Maybe I've done 7.1, whatever. Like, it will calculate the number of rows. And then you have to input the same values as you have here. So you go here and you copy just the number of knots. And then you have to input how much you've cut. So like, we'll do something that makes sense. It said to cut 70, maybe I wasn't sure, so I cut 80. Second one, it said to cut 107, maybe I cut 120, I don't know.
And like the same for these ones. And for the red one, it said to cut 47, and I cut 50.
And then I have to say how much is remaining. This, you just have to measure before the ties, like how much is left. 15 centimeters remaining here, and like 12 here. Like that would depend on what you've done. Maybe 13 and 16. And so then it will calculate 2 things. The knot length, which is just calculated according to like the number of pattern reps you've done and how long your bracelet is. And then it will also give you the mean string length per knot. So like how much string is used to make a knot. And so it will do a mean of everything. And then you can copy these values and write them here. And then it will adjust the calculator for you. I swear I have like 3 centimeters left at the end of my bracelet. Usually like between 1 and 2. Maybe it's a little bit too little, but I mean, DMC is expensive, you know? So yeah, I guess that's everything about this. Just don't touch the white cells or the green cells, but like they are white before they're green, because this is where the formulas are, and so you don't want to change that. But yeah, I hope this was kind of clear, a good explanation. I'm not sure. I've never tried to explain something about knotting before. I made this like really early on because I just could not live with like using too much string every time. Like, look at this pattern. You need 107 centimeters of one and like 47 of another. If you cut the same, 80 centimeters for everything, you'll just run out way too early. I hope you liked it, if you did. I mean, I don't even know why I started this outro. That's the outro for my other channel, because like, don't subscribe. Like, this is a one-off. I don't think I'll ever make another knotting video. Maybe someday, but well, never say never. But yeah, you can like it. You can comment. I'm not sure subscribing is useful. Yeah, bye-bye.